Okay, so Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman are running wrestling programs. Um, their biggest competitor has a show on TNT, and the biggest movie in the world right now is Toy Story.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome to the 1995 edition of Wrestling with Egos. However, you may be listening to us, whether it's on our home away from home on YouTube, on the official podcast carrier of Wrestling with Egos, Anchor.fm, Intergalactic Radio, or Telepathy, whatever. Thanks for making us a part of your wrestling week. It's going to be a very, very fun show tonight. As you can tell just by the way the screen looks, it's a two-man show tonight. The intellectual hero of this show is on vacation with the missus and the rest of Camp Intellectual. We're smarter than everybody else because we don't do last names here. But I'm Patrick, joined as always by the AEW poster boy, the man, the myth, the legend, RJ. What's going on, brother?
Going on. Big news. The Heyman Bischoff stuff's huge, man.
Yeah, it is. And let's talk about that briefly before we get into our topics for tonight. I'm really hoping, and we were talking about this just a few minutes ago before we actually went on air. I'm really hoping this is more of an off-air role, and they're actually heading up creative, as opposed to on-air roles, which would essentially make these executive directors general managers. And I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping they're actually running the shows. And if that's the case, oh crap, this is huge.
Absolutely. Monster.
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy at work, and he said something about he and other people think that there's a possibility that Heyman might push hard to try to get them to change the rating on Raw, so that he can do a little more, Paul Heyman type stuff.
Back to TVMA.
Right. And I don't think Fox would ever go for that for SmackDown, but USA might.
USA might, but at the same time, I also don't know if WWE would really want to do that because they've adapted such a family-friendly image, and they've gotten some major corporate sponsorship over the better part of the last 2 years. So I seriously doubt they're going to want to go down that road. It would be kind of cool. I'm going to be honest, if we go down that road and we deal with a new version, a renaissance of the Attitude Era, can it please be more physicality and less sex? I mean, don't get me wrong, sex sells, but at the same time, I'm not watching wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I am a red-blooded American male, and I'm straight. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with the bra and panties match, but I'd much rather see, say, AJ and Ricochet wrestle than, Naomi and Lana in an evening gown match. I mean, okay, catfight, real wrestling. I'm sorry. I do like beautiful women. My fiance is a beautiful woman, but I want wrestling.
Right.
Sorry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that one. My big fear is that this is going to end up being an on-air role. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the executive director of Monday Night Raw. So, okay, you're a general manager. No, I'm the executive director. Bullshit. You are on the same line. I mean, it quickly becomes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. Let me holler at you, player. We're gonna have ourselves a tag team match because now, damn it, I tried it. Because my name is Mr. John Laurinaitis. I used to be able to do that impression.
It started really good, and then you had a cough.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden,
there it is.
Went off the rails. Can't do it as well as I used to.
People power, right? Absolutely. Man, it was good though.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic impression.
All right, hang on. I gotta try it one more time because I know I used to be able to knock the shit out of this thing. My name is Mr. John Laurinaitis, and I am the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations and the General Manager of both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Not bad. Not bad.
That was good. That was good. I enjoyed it. Good stuff.
That's only one of two impressions I do well, and the other one is not wrestling related. It's speaking of 1995. It's a 90s era Eddie Murphy movie. The preacher from Coming to America.
Oh yeah.
I have been told I knocked that one out of the park, but I have to get really loud to do it. And there is a squishy face sleeping right over there. And yeah, we might save that one for a later show.
Yeah.
We might save that one for a later show. Dude, Stomping Grounds didn't suck.
I know. It was surprisingly good.
It was a really, it was a good B, a good solid middle of the road. If you're putting the number grade on it, it was a 95. I'm sorry, 85, 86.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
It was solid, dude. I gotta be honest. It was better than Mania.
I would probably agree with you. I mean, in wrestling wise, absolutely. I mean, you could make that argument.
It was a better card from top to bottom than Mania. I have one major takeaway that I wanted to bring up about it before we get into anything else. Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins for the title. I have one thing to say. Whoever idea it was to make Lacey Evans the special guest referee, give that son of a bitch a raise. That was brilliant.
I agree.
Because he's coming out, Corbin's coming out, and he's talking about, I got my special guest referee, blah blah blah. I'm like, crap, here comes Lesnar. See this coming a mile away. Oh, this sucks. Man, this is gonna be stupid. Lacey Evans, what the hell? In my opinion, since WrestleMania 30, the second most brilliant creative booking they've done. The first one being Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
I was just like, oh my God, that is brilliant.
Yeah, that was good.
Because, it's just Rollins just kicking the crap out of everybody with that chair. And now here's a woman. And now you bring in Becky. And I was like, okay, what I didn't like about the main event was just the fact that Lacey was so blatantly in Baron Corbin's corner. You could have been a little bit more low key about that. But all in all, it was still solid.
I agree. I one of my favorite things I could tell that it was really good because I watched it with my 13-year-old son, and when Lacey Evans came out, I just looked at him and you could see the gears turning in his head, and then he says out loud, "Dad, Seth can't do anything to her," and I was like, "You're right, he can't." And he said, "This is such a good idea. I can't stand Baron Corbin, but this is such a good idea." Exactly. And then halfway through the match, it just I saw a light bulb go off in his head. And he went, "Dad?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Seth can't hit her, but Becky can." And I was like, there it is. It was so amazing.
Our mini RJ is growing up. We have yeah. Okay, so we have nicknames for just about everybody on the show that we're close to because we, protect everybody. I have the nickname for your 13-year-old son.
All right.
He is our VIT. He is our villain in training.
There you go.
Yeah. Because RJ and I are both villains. This is a very villain heavy show tonight.
Yeah.
Brian can go, do his thing with the lovebird, and here's
What?
hoping. Here's hoping they is doing their thing. We
Right,
just
right,
we just gonna leave it at that. But
right.
yeah, this is a very pro villain show tonight. So
I,
yeah,
I feel like Brian might poo poo the Lacey Evans thing a little more than we are.
I honestly I think he would. I saw it, and I saw it. My fiance had, Mama Llama had just gone upstairs to go to bed. She had to be up early Monday, and that happened. And I ran halfway upstairs. I'm like, babe, the ref is Lacey Evans. She went, shut up. I'm like, no, the ref is Lacey Evans. She went, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great idea.
Oh, it was. It was.
She played the part so well. She was so good at that.
And this is something that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Yeah, she sandbags for Bayley, but there are moments where she is gold.
Absolutely.
She,
Knocked out of the
she-
park. Home run good.
yeah, she is a great heel. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
and it again, like we talked about last week, there's Baron Corbin heel where I just hate you because you suck. And then there's Lacey Evans, Miz, Jay White kind of heel where I just hate you because you make me want to hate you. I
Right.
want to pay my good hard-earned money to see you get your ass kicked.
MJF.
Yes. if that ain't, we talked about a heel 401 on this show. Dude, that is like PhD level heel. He is so money right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who would you say, we're talking about heels. Who would you say is not, you are not allowed to say Shane McMahon. You are not allowed to say Shane freaking McMahon. Who's the best heel in WWE right now? Who's the one person in WWE, not named Shane McMahon, that you would pay your hard-earned money, you, the wife, and the kids, everybody, to see get their ass kicked?
I mean, when Ciampa's heel, it's Ciampa.
I'm sorry, real quick. When Ciampa's heel and Ciampa's healthy, MJF ain't shit.
I agree. Of everybody now, I'd probably say Joe.
Probably.
Everybody that's heel right now, I'd probably say Joe's probably the best heel in the company.
I would probably say either him or it's two people, but you can't really have one without the other at this point. Sammy and Kevin.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're both phenomenal in the ring, but they make you want to hate them. This is a reason I hate the fact that The Miz is a face, because he's so damn good as a heel. Oh my God.
Miz for a long time was my favorite wrestler. And I'm talking like the B Miz. The I have the briefcase and I cash in and I'm awesome Miz was my favorite wrestler for a long time. And I mean, like, I bleed Cleveland. Like, I love Cleveland, and so I got big time attachment to Miz because he's from around here, and I just can't get at all invested in Miz as a face. Not at all. Not even a little.
I mean, I am invested in their reality show because it's funny, because Mike and Maurice are both dumbasses. And I mean that in the most amazingly awesome way possible, kind of like how the three of us are dumbasses. Even though all three of us are really smart guys, Ryan being smarter than both of us combined, which, admit it, he is.
Not about it.
Oh yeah. But they're endearing people. But as a wrestling character, no. I need my Miz to be a bad guy. I need my Miz to be a bad guy about as badly as I need my Jericho to be a bad guy.
I saw George Mizanin at my work today.
Nice.
As I was leaving, I saw him, and I on my name tag, I wear an AEW pin on my name tag, and I like said hi to him, and he said hi to me, and I asked him how he was doing, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing good, I'm doing good," and he kind of like he looked at my pin, and then kind of like started to like walk slowly, like he had to like I gotta go now. Have a good day. I hope you're doing good. Like because I've
Yeah,
seen him multiple times. He comes to my work all the time. I saw him at the airport actually when we were on our way to All In or Double or Nothing. I see him all the time.
nice.
Yeah, he's an idiot too. Speaking of idiots in the Mizanin family.
Yeah. So, aside from main event, anything stand out to you from Stomping Grounds?
Um, I love the Ricochet thing.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I was about to ask you. You think it's a little too early to put the U.S. title on Ricochet? Or better question, why take it off Samoa Joe unless you're about to throw Samoa Joe at, say, I don't know, Kofi?
Which appears to be what they did. So with Joe choking out Kofi on was it Raw? Yeah, Raw.
Yeah.
The brand split doesn't exist anymore, so I can never remember what show anybody does stuff on now. But I I think that's why. What I don't understand is I I love Ricochet, and Ricochet's super over, and I've loved him since I'm one of the guys. I've loved him since before he was in WWE forever. His matches with Ospreay are bananas. Everybody knows that. Um, the, he's amazing. There are very few people that can touch Ricochet in the ring. But when
Well,
they did right. When they did that, was it a 5-way for number one contender for the United States?
yeah.
When are they ever going to do anything with Braun Strowman? Like I thought for sure it was going to be Strowman, and then they were going to do Strowman and Joe, and that was going to be amazing.
I'm
And then
done with
Strowman's doing tug of war.
I find Strowman to be boring. I find him to be more boring than watching Baron Corbin.
I completely disagree. um, I they for a long time he's very watered down at this point, and that's what's that's what has frustrated me. When they were building him as the ambulance flipping, stage destroying, Roman Reigns killing monster, that was awesome. And then that guy just doesn't exist anymore, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, it all died at WrestleMania in New Orleans when he had a
Nicholas,
13-year-old as his tag team partner.
absolutely.
I, you know, since then he's done one thing that I thought was enjoyable as a face. He had that feud with Elias, and he shows up on stage with an upright bass and plays that like a guitar. I'm like,
That
that
was
is the
so
most
funny.
thing I've ever seen.
That was
That,
hilarious.
but aside from that, it's all sucked. Turner Strowman needs to be a heel. Strowman,
Right, I agree. Monster heel.
yeah, it's it's frustrating the fact that it's hang on just a second because I don't know if you can hear that or not, but the 4-year-old in the baby monitor is asking for me. So 1 second.
All right.
Listen, we're live, pal. And we're back again, wrestling with egos. Yeah, we're live, pal. Wrestling with egos. I'm Patrick. That's RJ. Again, thank you for joining us. Sorry about that little commercial break, for lack of a better term, even though there are no commercials. It was just that little graphic that you saw, and then we were back. Yeah, that's what happens when there's a baby monitor right there. Oops. So we were talking about Ricochet. We were talking about Braun Strowman. We were talking about Braun Strowman. Strowman as a face does not make sense to me. It
I,
is it's Miz as a face. It's Brock Lesnar as a face.
that's bad too. Yeah, you have a built-in character that you were
Right.
doing for a while, and then you just dropped it like they just drop stuff, and I don't understand it at all. I love him when he's got direction. When Braun Strowman has a creative direction, I'm super personally entertained by Braun Strowman. And I wish that they would. I didn't see them going with Ricochet as early as they went with Ricochet. So when I saw the five-way match, I really, really thought they might go with Braun. And he takes the belt off Joe and then becomes heel maybe the next night on Raw, and you go from there. But they didn't do that, and that's okay. Ricochet's awesome. He's gonna have some awesome defenses as United States champion. He'll probably have a pretty decent run with it if they don't. So how you put the United States Championship on him on Sunday, and then Monday night he loses clean to AJ. Now it's AJ, and I know, but
Right.
but so why do the match then? Like, I don't know. I don't get that.
Truth be told, I think they did the match just for the sheer pop of it, just to be able to say AJ Styles and Ricochet. Ricochet being one of the hottest names in WWE right now. AJ Styles being one of, we talk about these mythical Mount Rushmores, like the all-time Mount Rushmore of WWE. You could do one for the 80s, you could do one for the 90s. For as far as this generation of wrestler, AJ Styles is the first name you put on this generation's Mount Rushmore.
I agree.
No doubt about it. Anyone who says differently isn't watching the product.
I agree.
Just simple as that. Let's go ahead and switch gears to something you're a little bit more comfortable talking about. Your boys over at AEW have a little showy show going on Bleacher Report Live this Saturday night. Fighter Fest. Looking like a good card. What we got, man?
Yeah. Well, it starts at 6:30. With the buy-in starts at 6:30. The actual show starts at 7:30. I just want to throw out to anybody that plans on watching it for free on Bleacher Report Live. Make sure you create an account first. It'll make streaming on Bleacher Report Live a hell of a lot easier. It's so much easier than if you try to create an account right as the show's starting. On the buy-in, we actually have Michael Nakazawa,
Yeah.
who we know from BTE and the Battle Royal at Double or Nothing is where most people know him from. And he's taking on Alex Jabali, who is actually the organizer and founder of the CEO fighting game competition that this is all happening at. That is a hardcore match. So that's super interesting. I don't know exactly how many bumps he's going to take, or he's wrestled before. So,
oh wow,
the way that the CEO thing actually happened was that he started it. He was really into gaming, and he started it, and it was just a regular, fighting game convention for a while. And then he's always been a wrestling fan. So what he wanted to do was he rented a wrestling ring and just made that the stage for the fighting game contest. No wrestling show, no matches, but it was just that was the stage for the fighting game thing.
which
And
is
then, right, absolutely. And eventually he was like, hey, we have a ring. We can actually put on matches. And then that morphed into they're doing a whole AEW show at CEO. And he's in one of the matches against Michael Nakazawa in a hardcore match. It's super
and
interesting.
Michael Nakazawa is entertaining as hell.
He is, absolutely. No doubt about it.
One, tough as nails, but two, the baby oil. Holy crap, the baby oil.
Baby oil is phenomenal. Absolutely.
It is. Yeah.
Also on the buy-in, we have the best friends, Chucky T and Trent Beretta, taking on SCU and Private Party. Private Party's a new tag team that AEW just signed. If you watch the last Road to Fighter Fest on YouTube, the Nightmare Family YouTube channel, there's a great vignette where you can get to know Private Party a little bit. I didn't know a whole lot about them. I watched it, became a fan of them. They're really great guys. And a lot of the moves that they do, they showed some of the moves in the vignette, and it seems like they're really inspired by the Bucks. So that should be. The one guy's a veteran, the other guy's been in for longer or for a shorter amount of time. I mean, and he's kind of new to the business, but they seem to work really well together. I'm excited to see it.
And also at the same time, anytime you get to see SCU in action is always fun. Do we know which pairing of SCU it is?
It's Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian because
Okay.
Christopher Daniels is wrestling Shima from the Strong Hearts.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that will be very fun.
That'll be fun. Don't we also have no, Bucks are taking on.
It's Bucks and Kenny. It was supposed to be originally when the show first got made. It was supposed to be the Bucks and Kenny versus the Lucha Brothers and Pac, but obviously Pac isn't here anymore. So
Does.
right, yeah, and so now it's Kenny and the Bucks against the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid.
Oh, nice.
From AAA. So that'll be awesome too. That match, I think that match is actually going on into the main event. It's not the match that I'm most excited about, which is Moxley and Joey Janela. Which actually today they announced today that match is going to be a non-sanctioned match.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. They said due to the violent nature of both competitors in this match, AEW has decided the match will be contested with no rules.
Thank you.
So we finally get to see Moxley before he was Dean Ambrose come back. So I'm super excited about that. A match that cannot be overlooked, though. We got to talk a little bit more about Moxley and Janela, but there's a couple more matches on here on the show. We have a women's match, Yuka Sakazaki, and Riho. It's a triple threat in Nyla Rose.
Okay.
That match will be okay. I feel like that match is kind of going to be to build Nyla as a beast a little bit. I think we'll see her beast a lot through that match. Then we got a 4-way: Hangman, Jungle Boy, Jimmy freaking Havoc, and MJF, which that'll be fun. That'll be lots and lots and lots of fun.
My God.
Part is stacked. And then the match that cannot be overlooked that nobody's talking about is Cody versus Darby Allin. If you don't know about this Darby Allin kid, look up some of his matches, look up some of his highlights. This kid can freaking go. Jon Moxley just a couple weeks ago, maybe it was about a week and a half ago, wrestled Darby Allin at an indie show, and he grabbed a mic after the match and he said, "A week ago, I didn't know who this kid was. And now I'm standing here to tell you that you should all be absolutely honored that you saw him wrestle in a high school gym because this kid's the future of the business." And that guy is Darby Allin, and he is taking on Cody at Fyter Fest. That match is going to be great too.
And anybody that's watched wrestling as long as we have, we know Cody technically one of the best guys in the business right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's so fluid.
Ring psychology, as far as ring psychology goes, there's very few people that I feel can touch anybody in the Rhodes family, really.
Yeah. And then obviously that's going to lead closer and closer to Fight for the Fallen, where it's the Bucks taking on the natural Dustin Rhodes and the American Nightmare Cody.
That man, I am so excited for that match. My son too, he keeps doing that match on. I told you before, we have the WWE game, and we don't ever use WWE anybody on it because we have so many downloaded people. And he's been doing the Bucks versus the Rhodes brothers since that match got made at Double or Nothing.
Nice. That's gonna be amazing. I'm really looking forward to checking it out because, truth be told, I didn't want to actually shill out the money for Double or Nothing because I'm like, okay, first pay-per-view, and you guys are charging WWE kind of money for a pay-per-view.
A lot of that. Yeah, there was a lot of that.
So I like the fact that they're doing this one for free because at the same time, we had All In, and then we had Double or Nothing. You could really subtitle. We subtitle all of our shows here on Wrestling with Egos. I think we're going to go with 1995 this week. Either that or What If. For the record, I almost decided to go with a Creed opening for this week. Because, the song. Anyway, moving right along. You could have really subtitled Fyter Fest, putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're putting the whole thing on for free. All you gotta do is just go sign up.
Right, absolutely. And it's all the content leading up to it is on BTE and on Road to Fyter Fest, so that's all free too. There's so much content. I mean, if Moxley and Janela have done some amazing promos. Moxley, the unsanctioned match thing that came out today, there's like a Moxley vignette on there where he watches the Joey Janela promo from BTE and he doesn't say a word, and the promo was amazing. If you haven't seen the Janela promo from BTE or the Moxley thing that came out today, go out of your way to watch it. It will get you so much more pumped for the match than we all already are. It's absolutely great.
I'm already pumped for it because I've seen Janela several times, including at All In. That fight, that war with Hangman, which was just freaking awesome.
When he power bombed him off the stage through that table, I was so close to him I could have reached out and touched his leg.
I hate you. You're a jackass. But yeah, I'm really, really pumped about that one. Anything else on Double or Nothing before we, even though the teacher isn't here, we still got to do homework.
We do. We absolutely do. Well, we went through all the matches for Fyter Fest. Just remember to create an account and remember that Fight for the Fallen is also free.
Fight for the Fallen is also going to be free?
Yes. They announced that this week. Fight for the Fallen will also be free on Bleacher Report Live.
Nice. So the next pay-per-view is All Out.
As far as we know, yep.
Yeah, unless they decide to go, you know what? All Out's going to be free too.
Which sold out, I would just like to just throw in here, you mean that All Out show that sold out in 15 minutes and had more ticket demand than WrestleMania? Zing!
Yeah.
I was number 8,040 in the queue and I didn't get tickets. The 12,000 seat arena, I was number 8,040 and I didn't get tickets.
Damn. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and move on with the show. Again, Wrestling with Egos. I'm Patrick, along with RJ. I'm your resident. I am your absolute favorite villain. He is AEW's poster boy. You can hit either one of us up on Twitter. I am at Rant Mode On. He's at RJ Eman with 2 N's. You can hit the good old fashioned email address at wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. You can check out our archive site on Google. It's a Google site, bit.ly/withegos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Toward the end of the show, there's going to be a nice little audibly offensive radio logo right in the middle of the screen. You can click on that and you can subscribe to us, and it'll be awesome. And you'll get notifications if you hit the bell as to when we're going to be on. And you'll enjoy it. And you'll love us for it. And we will become your favorite wrestling show every week. Why? Because not only are we knowledgeable, we're also fun. And we put the funk in dysfunctional. Homework time, brother. Homework time. And this was one I was a little pumped for because I remember the match so fondly. But I wanted to go something, since I knew last week it was just me and you, something that we could really get into and really just talk about not only the match itself, but the maturation process of all parties involved, and then tie that into our what if conversation, which will happen as soon as we're done with this. And it is 2 out of 3 falls from NXT TakeOver Toronto for the NXT Tag Team Championship. The Revival defending against DIY. Can I start off by saying something? Fall number 1. Gargano and Ciampa sucked.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to say that too.
Fall number one. I went. I watched it on Tuesday. I was like, holy crap! They are sloppy as hell.
I was gonna say that too, especially Ciampa.
Oh God, Champa was just a botch machine. I mean, I'm not saying like botch stuff like RBD or Lana or
Sandman,
anything like
Sandman,
that.
Sandman, Sandman, Sandman.
Sandman. Nothing that bad, but it was just Tommaso Ciampa as NXT champion was just crisp and precise and damn near perfect. And what we saw in the first fall of this match, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, Ciampa, I forgot how ripped Ciampa used to not be.
Right. Absolutely. Because it's so nuts. Those were the two things that were fresh on my mind that I was going to say.
Yeah.
Was that Ciampa was not that good in the first fall, and he did not look as good as he looked as champion.
Yeah, I'm about to say, last time I saw Ciampa, he was a lot more jacked than he is now. I'm like, damn. One other thing I wanted to mention before we actually really start breaking down the match itself. Holy crap balls. I forgot how good the Revival can be. Oh my God. I'm sorry, and I know there's such a debate here, and you very well could disagree with me on this. You take the Young Bucks and you take that incarnation of the Revival, I'll take the Revival 9 times out of 10.
I will too.
They in NXT, they were so good.
I wish the WWE would go back to letting the Revival be the best tag team in the world, because when they are, they are.
Yes, no question about it. They're better than Guerrillas of Destiny. They're better than the Bucks. They're better than the Lucha Bros. They're better than any tag team you can think of when they are allowed to do what they do.
Absolutely.
You know who they remind me of? Blanchard and Anderson.
And that's who they're supposed to remind you of.
Exactly.
They're guys.
They are so crisp. But the one thing I loved, and we're now talking about fall number one. It was sloppy. The Revival tried to keep it under wraps. The way they pulled off the Shatter Machine in fall number one was just out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, that was slick.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Shatter Machine, hell of a finisher, hell of a name.
Absolutely. Yes, 100% agreed. There are very few tag team moves, maybe the Doomsday Device, that have as good names as the Shatter Machine.
Right. Not even the 3D was that good. The Deadly Death Drop. It wasn't even that good. Yeah, there are few tag finishers that have that good of a name. Doomsday Device, Shatter Machine, Midnight Hour. As far as like names, New Day.
Yeah.
Midnight Hour.
Yeah. If we're counting it, I always thought that the Concerto was very creative when Edge and Christian used to do the Concerto. I thought that name was awesome.
That was cool. There was another one. I can't remember. There was another one somebody had that was like, that's just. But yeah, tag finishers generally just don't have really good names.
Right. Shatter Machine's a good.
Shatter Machine's probably the best name of a tag team finisher I can think of. Second fall was where it started to really ramp up, my opinion. I think that's when when DIY realized holy crap, we're in a takeover and this is supposed to be big. We kind of need to pull our heads out of our asses.
Agreed.
And they did, and it was on. It was snug. It was just, I honestly felt like in the second fall and all the way through the rest of the match, they put their foot on the gas and it just gradually kept getting faster and faster and more out of control and more out of control in a positive way.
Yeah.
Until toward the end, it's just mass freaking chaos. But there were so many false finishes, and Johnny Gargano did what Johnny Gargano does best, and that is take a beating.
There's nobody in the world that does it better than him. You will not ever convince me that there is anybody that sells better than Johnny Gargano in the world right now. He is the best.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, you might argue he might be one of the best 5 best bumpers ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Put him up there with Shawn. Put him up there with early Ric Flair, like when Ric Flair with the Horsemen.
Right.
He's just a great seller. He took an ass kicking.
Yes, he did.
But again, it's kind of what Johnny Gargano is supposed to do. It's kind of his calling card. I get my ass kicked in the ring.
And he's done it for years with nobody, with 100 people watching him in a high school gym. He's been doing it.
Oh yeah. But it's always that he's always able to build the drama. And I loved in the second fall when the Revival thought they kind of had the momentum going. It went straight old school tag team, cut the ring in half, work that. I'm thinking, oh my God, hey, you were talking about, I remember being at this Survivor Series in Richfield. I'm over here thinking, it's the 1980s, and my uncle's taking me to the Omni, and I'm watching Sting and Nikita versus, Midnight Express. I'm like, oh, okay. This is old school.
And there are very few people, very few teams in the business nowadays that do old school as well as the Revival do old school. I mean, there's a reason they're called the Revival. You know what I mean?
Right. They're a throwback to an 80s tag team.
When tag wrestling was tag team wrestling.
When tag team wrestling was gone. I'm sorry. I grew up loving tag team wrestling. I started liking Flair because I loved watching Tully and Arn. I loved Tully and Arn. More specifically, I loved Tully. And then I learned a very strong appreciation for the word spine buster. Then I became an Arn fan.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hey, dude, every character I create on any wrestling game, the setup for the finisher is always the spine buster. And it has to be that AA style where it's the pickup, it's the pivot with the little turn, and then boom.
Did you saw the video when he did that at the WWE Starrcade last year, right? Yeah. He still got it. He could still hit that spine. Nobody's business.
He still had that torque on those hips. I was like, yeah, that's a AA spine buster. I still think the best one he ever did was WrestleMania 18 when he got Undertaker out.
It was definitely the most pop worthy one that he ever did, for sure.
Yeah, it was. But it was just like, bam, oh crap. Like he kind of stuffed him on that one. Getting DIY ties it up with their meet in the middle finisher, which I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Third fall, third fall, Gargano gets a leg clipped, then gets the other leg clipped. Revival tries the meet in the middle move. It backfires. DIY hits the shatter machine. Place goes nuts. That gets a 2 count. And then it ends up being a great finish with both guys tied up in a submission. Dash tied up in the Gargano escape, and Dawson tied up in whatever the hell Ciampa called that
Armbar,
that
I don't know.
that crazy butterfly armbar thing, which was
Yeah,
just
that's probably
every
what
time I
it's
saw
called.
it, like ow, 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 ow.
That move,
Great
man.
match, great match, great feel good moment. Unfortunately, short-lived title run because the very next takeover, DIY gets their asses handed to them by AOP,
Yeah.
which sucked.
They won the Dusty Rhodes Invitational, right?
Yeah, they won the Dusty Cup at
Right?
Takeover Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they got the shot the next takeover, and they got them. So I got to be honest, going back and watching it, I don't think the match holds up as well as I thought I did, because this is literally the second time I've watched it. First time I watched it was live. I thought it was an amazing match then. It was good. It's a B plus for me. It's not an A. It's a B plus.
B plus is where I was at too, and it's we're feeling each other on this match, man. I feel exactly the same way. When I watched it live, it felt to me like it was one of the greatest tag team matches I had ever seen in my life. And watching it back, maybe it wasn't that, but it was really, really good. There was and a lot of it is the emotion in the moment, not knowing. You want DIY to pull it out so bad. And speaking of that, I would be remiss if I didn't mention how amazing the crowd was for that
Oh
show.
my!
That Toronto crowd, at least for that match. I didn't watch the whole show when I watched the homework match. I normally do, but I didn't this time. At least for that match, that Toronto crowd wanted Johnny so bad.
Oh yeah. First off, Toronto crowds usually are pretty hot. The opening match of the show is Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger.
Right.
So no, that crowd was up. That crowd was up.
And the main event was Joe and Nakamura, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
With a weird entrance from Nakamura with all the different fake violin players.
That one. I thought that one was great.
I didn't like it.
I liked it myself.
I'm
a mark for Nakamura though.
Oh, I am too. But you got all the violin players that are all doing this horse crap, and I'm like, I think to me it's a lot cooler when Lee England Jr. is playing into the ring. I'm like, that's a hell of a lot cooler. Then again,
that was cooler.
Then again, his entrance with Nita Strauss playing guitar was just gangster.
That was the best one.
Oh yeah.
Sure, my favorite Nakamura entrance.
Oh yeah. There's been a couple that I've liked, but that one's definitely for me, definitely my favorite. So we both give B pluses on this one. Okay, I'm a little surprised in that. I honestly thought you might have benefited of the doubt a little bit and gone a little bit higher, but cool. It's kind of creepy how we're both kind of feeling each other on the same wavelength for this match.
There was a question that I wanted to ask you though.
Okay.
If we were to crown somebody throughout the history of the brand Mr. NXT, is it Gargano? Because I think it's Gargano.
It's either snap decision. I would say Gargano, but if I had to really get into it, I would say either Gargano or Finn Balor.
Balor's the other. I think those are the only two names that really could be considered. And the only reason that I would lean more towards Johnny is because the progression. how
Right.
he started as a nobody per se and then became the NXT champion. Just the way that that crowd at Full Sail helped him grow into
Exactly.
what he has become. I feel like he's Mr. NXT. I feel like that if you're the face of the brand all time, I think it's Johnny.
Well, okay. Let's spin that. Let's gender swap real quick. Who would you say is Miss NXT? I've got. I've
Probably
got.
Charlotte.
Nope. Bailey.
That it was Charlotte or Bailey is where I was. That's
Again,
I'm going back and forth in my head.
I'm with your argument for Johnny is my argument for Bailey. We saw Bailey go from that starry-eyed, I want to hug everybody, and oh my God, Dusty Rhodes, oh my God, Bret Hart, to I'm a badass.
Absolutely, that's a great point. It's
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. If I'm going to use that argument on Johnny, then it's got to be Bailey. That's
yeah.
true.
So, you know, but and I'm kind of thinking the same thing, the same phrase now. I'm like, if I'm going to use that argument for Bailey, I have to use the same argument for Johnny. So, okay.
And then also in this match, I think it goes without saying that the tag team of NXT is the Revival.
Oh, there's no question.
It's not even there's no
There's
conversation.
no question because the Revival, even in NXT, the Revival were considered the best tag team on the planet.
Right.
Not just in WWE, not just in America. They were the best tag team on the planet. They could have gone to New Japan and done the same stuff and been just as good. Oh my God, could you imagine them in New Japan?
Yeah, I have. Believe me, I imagine it all the time.
My God, they would have, screw every. Sorry, if they are in New Japan at the same time as the Bucks, screw the Bucks. They're they,
Well, I don't know that they're. Yeah, probably. I don't. The Revival probably would have been in the heavyweight tag division though. The Bucks
they're
only. I mean, I don't know though. It's the way New Japan, for no rhyme or reason, moves people around from the heavyweight to junior heavyweight division. You never know where they would have been.
very, very, very true. So we've been talking about this for weeks, and it's always a question that gets asked in every walk of life. What if? What if this happened? What if this didn't happen? What if I wouldn't have overslept today? Blah, 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 blah. Could go on and on. But there's so many questions in wrestling that if you ask what if it happened or it didn't happen, could potentially change the landscape of wrestling forever in a massive, massive way. So close out the show tonight, probably for the next 20 or so minutes. RJ and I last week decided this is what we're going to discuss. It's kind of our bar talk, our little, round the table discussion or bar discussion, whatever you want to call it. Again, if you guys want to throw out any ideas for next week or in the coming weeks, because we do have the Montreal Screwjob show coming up in 2 weeks. Looking really forward to that. Yeah, no, 3 weeks because it's the week after I get back from my mission trip. So it'll be 4th of July next weekend. Then 4th of July next week. Then I'll be gone on my mission trip the next week, and then the week after that
Right.
is Montreal Screwjob. But for bar discussions or any other questions or any kind of talk that you guys just want us to have, because we're not just a weekly topical show. We want to delve into the history and the science and everything of this brand of entertainment, this sport that we love so damn much. Hit us up on the email. It's wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. You can hit me and RJ up on Twitter. I'm at Rant Mode On. RJ is at RJ Eman with 2 N's. And it's what if time. And this was something, and I want to just go ahead and get it out of the way because it's the first thing that you and I said last week. It's on YouTube and it's on Anchor for all the world to see. The first thing that came to either one of our minds. and it's one simple question: what if Owen Hart did not die?
Right.
I'll let you go first because I've got an interesting take on it. At least I think it's interesting. So I'll let you go first. What if Owen Hart did not fall to his death at Over the Edge in Kansas City?
I have a very short and sweet answer for this. I thought about it a lot this week, and I tried to come up with a big, long, elaborate thing, but it all boils down to one sentence. My answer is short and sweet. What if Owen Hart had not died? If Owen Hart had not died, there would be no conversation as to who is the greatest of all time. It would be Owen Hart. That's all.
Damn. That's a lot more shorter and sweeter version of what I was going to say. I actually went a little bit more in depth with that. First off, paraphrase, I had a much longer answer, but saying the same thing. We would not be talking about is it Flair, is it Shawn, is it Taker, is it blah 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 blah. No, the greatest of all time would have been Owen Hart. No doubt about it. Owen Hart would have ended up being WWE champion. Owen Hart would, at this point in his life, be a WWE Hall of Famer. He would have, he would have gone in arguably before Bret did. Something else I want to throw out: Bret wouldn't have been a little out of his mind when he left for WCW because he left for WCW. Then Owen died, and when Bret came back, he was not in the same frame of mind. Bret would not have gotten a concussion from Goldberg that resulted in a stroke that pretty much just wrecked Bret's life.
Right.
We also would not have seen the complete and utter self-destruction of that entire family. Because hear me out on this. Owen's still alive. Bulldog doesn't die.
Right. I'll follow you there.
Bulldog doesn't die because the only person Bulldog's got to hold on to now as far as support is Bret, and Bret ain't all there.
Right.
Bret's a broken man at this point because his baby brother died in a wrestling ring, and the whole damn family blames Vince McMahon.
Right. And that's a logical reaction.
Exactly, and I'm not faulting them for it. The Harts, to a lesser degree, became the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Because Owen died, and then in a short span, Bulldog died, Stu and Helen died. Bret got a concussion. While Bret was healing, Bret crashed his bicycle and then ended up hitting his head, and it caused a stroke. The end. I don't think any of that happens because the biggest tragedy in the history of wrestling didn't happen.
I agree. So, I'm following you right there.
So I got that, but I've also got Owen Hart is the greatest of all time. We are celebrating him as the one true god of wrestling. I am assuming you came to this discussion with some questions of your own.
I did.
I have some too, but I wanted to, we wanted to get that one out of the way and then throw it to you.
That was the big one that we knew was there. It was the elephant in the room. It's the one you talk about, you get it out of the way because that's part of every wrestling what if conversation.
Exactly.
You get it out of the way. Another one that I feel like you got to get out of the way is what if Hall and Nash don't leave?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
If Hall and Nash don't leave, and I've got a horrible scenario for this. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash do not leave WWE. If they stay there, we do not have wrestling now.
You might be right.
Because let's follow this through. WCW, Eric Bischoff still finds a way to put WWE out of business because WWE did not think they needed to change their game plan. They didn't change their game plan until Hall and Nash left, and them, along with Hogan, started the NWO. Vince McMahon goes under because of that and the XFL. I think the XFL still happens because of Vince McMahon's hubris.
Yeah.
WWE's out of business. WCW has won the war, and then the downfall of WCW was inevitable. It was going to happen the way it was happening. Hogan is still there. Savage is still there. Forget the fact that Hall and Nash don't show up. Hogan and Savage and Bischoff go, pretty much become what eats that company from the inside out. They die off. Heyman will still go bankrupt with ECW. Nothing changes that.
Nothing changes. That was one of the other questions that I had was what if ECW hadn't gone out of business? And I don't think there is a what if. It was always going to happen.
Yeah, it was inevitable, and that was on my list too. I'm going to be honest. If Hall and Nash don't leave, we do not have wrestling as we know it in the United States of America. We still have New Japan. We still have all the other stuff in various parts of the world, but America does not have a legit wrestling company. Ring of Honor would have become the number one promotion in the U.S., and who knows what would have happened there.
Well, what would have happened there was that they would be doing pay-per-views that wrestling shows don't talk about, like us and the Ring of Honor show that's tomorrow that we're completely ignoring because Ring of Honor is garbage right now.
Yeah. There are some things about Ring of Honor I don't like. There are some things about Ring of Honor that I do like. I think the unfortunate thing for Ring of Honor is they've just been pilfered by everybody. Ring of Honor is going to end up being this generation's ECW.
Eventually.
Yeah. And it stinks. I mean, it's a matter of time before Matt Taven's gone to somewhere, which I really hope doesn't happen because I'm really not a fan of Matt Taven. Jay Lethal needs to go somewhere other than Ring of Honor. Kelly Klein needs to go somewhere other than Ring of Honor.
Hey, E-Dub. Kelly Klein fit perfectly there.
Oh, my God. Kelly Klein in AEW would be absolutely amazing. I mean, I make no mistake about it. I am a huge fan of her. She's great in the ring. And if you follow her on social media, she's always such a positive force. But, yeah, I mean, here's one for you. We talked about him at the beginning of this, so we'll kind of spin it back to something bad that he did. What if Owen doesn't accidentally break Steve Austin's neck?
Well, I think Austin's still wrestling now. I think Austin's a 10-time WWE champion. Would
he have gotten as hot without the neck injury and playing that up and then using his chops to do promos, for example, like throwing the Intercontinental title belt into the lake?
It's debatable whether he would have got that hot or not. It is still possible just based on, I feel like just because of who he was facing at King of the Ring 96, I feel like the Austin 316 promo happens no matter what, and I think that launches him into the stratosphere. I think that Stone Cold is charismatic enough and in-ring psychology creative enough that I feel like he would have found a way to get over the way that he did no matter what.
I tend to agree with that.
And I think he'll be not to that level, but he would still be majorly over. I feel a better version of what we're seeing from the Undertaker, as far as an older guy in the ring right now. I think is what we might have from Steve if his neck had never been broken. He was as when there are very few people that could in the history of wrestling that can touch him as far as ring psychology goes. There are very few people that could tell a story like Austin.
Oh my God, yeah. Um, throw it to you. You got anything else on your list? Because I've got.
We'll stick with injuries. My most, I don't want to say favorite because I hate that it happened, but the biggest what if for me, kind of because I'm such a massively huge fan of him, is what if Edge hadn't had to retire? Edge, I don't think Edge gets what he deserves.
May I?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna rip you off. We would not be talking about who the greatest of all time was. It would be Adam Copeland.
That's possible.
You talk about ring psychology. The guy could do the guy was amazing as a face. He was amazing as a heel. He was amazing as a goofball heel. He was amazing as a pure villain.
He's amazing as a retired dad.
Yes. He was just simply a genius and could just grab an audience. He knew, we talked about this. It was that Eric Bischoff TED Talk. He knew how to make you feel.
Yeah.
When he was with Lita, you wanted to kill him. When he was with Vicky Guerrero, you wanted to kill him. When he turned face after that, you wanted to lay down in a fire so he could walk over you and get across.
Right. Absolutely.
He commanded attention, and when he was a face, he commanded an army. I loved the guy from day freaking one. I loved him. Top 5 my favorite wrestlers ever.
Me too.
He might be 2 or 3 on that list. He's definitely not Sting, but he's either 2 or 3 on my list. I loved him. But yeah, my opinion, we would not be talking about who is the greatest of all time. It would be Edge.
I would tend to agree. Just what you said. He's in-ring psychology and creativeness, and as far as charisma goes, I mean, it's still to this day on Twitter and on the Edge and Christian podcast and the Edge and Christian show on the WWE Network. The guy is so charismatic and entertaining in every aspect of his life and everything that he does. It's whatever he chose to do. I'm really glad that he chose to become a professional wrestler because I love professional wrestling as much as I do. But whatever he had chosen to do in his life, he would have been absolutely knock it out of the park successful at, because the dude is out of this world great.
He could have been a teacher and would have been just everybody's favorite.
Right. There'd be years of people whose favorite teacher was Mr. Copeland. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, Mr. Copeland, my favorite teacher ever.
Except for Brian. We love you, Brian.
Exactly. My favorite teacher is Brian. But I will also say this, and I say this without question across the board: best entrance music of all time.
You Think You Know Me on This Day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Metalingus by Alter Bridge, which is kind of funny because Alter Bridge is Creed with a different lead singer. 2 Creed references in one show. God, we're going to hell.
That doesn't happen with Brian here.
I know, and here's Brian. Good Lord. There you go, Brian. Love you, buddy. So when he sees the show, he's gonna kill me. But yeah, dude, you hear that, You Think You Know Me, and then just the drums and the guitar from Metalingus, and you're just like, yeah. I mean, it is one of those songs
Absolutely.
that gets you pumped. And I think I just came up with bar talk for next week. We'll get to that in a minute.
Absolutely. I'm down for that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead, ink it down. Best entrance themes ever. That is my number.
Do it.
That is my number one with a bullet right there.
I have a big list for that one because man, do I love wrestling entrance music.
Oh, I do too, dude. I have an entire playlist on my phone of good entrance themes.
Me too. I've been known to be laughed at by people as I'm driving down the street, blasting wrestling entrance music in my car.
Yes. Currently for the record, my current favorite one is Cody's.
Mine too.
I love Kingdom. I love Kingdom.
Me
Anyway,
too. Kingdom is constantly in the top 10 of my history on YouTube because I play it all the time.
I got one last one before we get out of here because I think we're starting to run out of ideas. I got one more, and I wanted to talk to you about it. And this could be interesting. What if Mick Foley never falls off Hell in the Cell?
Oh man.
There we go. There we go.
Oh man.
What if Mick Foley never gets thrown off the cell?
Hell in a Cell might not still be a thing.
No.
That's something I've thought of. That's one of the first things that comes to mind.
Hell in the Cell isn't a thing. Elimination Chamber isn't a thing.
Right. That's probably also true.
Foley never wins the WWE title. Foley isn't a Hall of Famer. Foley doesn't publish a book. A book, not multiple books, not being number one New York Times bestseller. Foley, don't get me wrong, I love Mick Foley. Cactus Jack as a kid, I remember as a kid watching World Class Championship Wrestling on ESPN, and Cactus Jack with Skandar Akbar scared the hell out of me. He was one creepy dude. I did not like him. But I always respected the fact that he just took a beating. I remember that feud he had with Vader and blasted Harley Race upside the face with a shovel. And for the record, he did not pull back on Harley. He knocked the hell out of Harley Race.
Knocked the hell out of a lot of people.
Oh yeah, he did. But what if he does? My honest opinion, if he doesn't fall off the cell, as bad as I hate to say it, Mick Foley isn't the legend that he is now.
That's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against your point. I mean, he's still known to people like you and I, but is he the legend? He's another thing that you could say is he might not be a stand-up comic right now because he probably doesn't have the following. You know what I mean? Like you might be right. Man, I never really thought about that, but you have a good point because that led to a lot of people. That match led to a lot of people saying, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Right. I mean, dude, Think about this. We are talking about one of the single most iconic moments in the history of professional wrestling. Absolutely. So much, in fact, the 20th anniversary was what, last year? Or 2 years ago?
I think it was last year.
It was last year.
98, yeah.
98. So it would have been last year. ESPN mentioned it on not only on their Facebook feed, but also on SportsCenter that night, that 20 years ago today, this happened. And they even mentioned that Mick Foley was doing a one-man show in Pittsburgh that night talking about it. They didn't have anybody there, but they did mention that he was going to talk about it. So it as much of a history shaping moment as Hell in the Cell King of the Ring 98 was, I honestly think that is a cataclysmic shift in wrestling as we know it, because Mick Foley isn't Mick Foley. Hell in the Cell probably doesn't exist, because if that match sucked because Foley was out of shape, Taker had a broken foot, and if that doesn't happen, that match is probably a turd. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. They probably scrap Hell in the Cell, which means we also don't get Jericho and Triple H at Cell, which that was a great one.
Cactus Jack, a good one.
God bless Tim White's career.
Yeah, right.
We don't have Hell in the Cell pay-per-views. We don't have some of the matches that we had in Hell in the Cell recently, like for example, New Day and Usos.
You could even go as far as to argue that WCW wins the war, because based on that moment is when Vince really said, "This man will do anything for me. I'm going to put the belt on him." And then the put the asses in the seats moment doesn't happen.
Tony Schiavone never has to say that line, which then proves, and I did a paper on this in college, 12.1 million viewers at that moment. Click.
Right.
At the conclusion of,
And you were one of them.
No, because I was over my buddy's Matt's house and we had a cable splitter and had 2 damn TVs. I was watching both. Right. Now keep in mind, Raw was here. Gotta get my hands in frame. Raw was here. Nitro was here. I was doing this.
Of course.
I didn't give a flying damn about Nitro after that, because I'm like, oh crap, Mick Foley, Foley's gonna win the title. Oh crap. I think Matt might have turned the volume down on Nitro, and then we turned it back up for the last 5 or 6 minutes. But there is Nielsen had it. I think it was like 12 point something million viewers, or like a high million viewers, click. And at the conclusion of Raw, click for the overrun.
Right.
And honestly, I think that point is the biggest one of them all, because it was that night that broke the 83 week straight run of WCW Monday Nitro.
Right, and it's 100% possible that streak just continues. I mean, it was WWE was coming up; they were pulling ahead, but they were coming up fast and hard on WCW. But without Foley as one of the stars, maybe that doesn't happen. I think that Foley's star power within the Attitude Era and Foley's contribution to WWE winning the war is very, very much understated. And I agree. I think that none of it happens without that. That's a really good one. That's a great point.
Let me ask you this, and kind of piggyback off this, because I just want to go a little bit deeper. Okay, Foley goes off the cell. Foley's going to win the world title. What if WCW doesn't spoil that? What if they just keep their mouths shut and think people are still watching us more?
Raw wins the next week still, because people find out Foley won the championship. And I think that maybe what happens is maybe WWF does something along the lines of, if you didn't watch last week and you didn't get to see Mankind win the championship, we're going to replay it for you.
Yeah.
I think they still do something like that to get the ratings pop. I think the streak ends the week after. Honestly, I do.
So you still think Foley winning the title now, or because I am definitely in agreement with what I'm about to say. I don't know if you are too. To me, Foley winning the WWE title in Worcester, Mass when, you know, all hell broke loose and DX was involved and Austin came down and waffled the Rock with a chair. To me, that was the beginning of the end of the war.
Yeah.
Because that is what turned the tide, and then WCW died from that point on, died a slow and painful death.
For sure. I agree. 100%. Absolutely.
So is it safe to say without that singular moment, they don't win the war?
I would tend to say that. Yeah. Given
So
what we've just about, yeah.
Because obviously we just discussed, if he doesn't go off the cell, he doesn't win the title. If he doesn't win the title, they don't have that moment. A plus B equals C.
Right.
Damn. That's good.
Yeah.
That was, I'm kind of glad I thought of that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Heat breaks are awesome. We're going to talk about, you know, hey, devil's advocate, what if ECW had a bankroll? And this was so much of a better conversation. I got one last one for you, if you don't mind.
Shoot.
What if Ric Flair never left WWE the first time? He, you know, he leaves WCW when Jim Herd's running it. You know, they digitize the World Heavyweight title. You know, he wins the Rumble, blah, 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 blah. What if he never goes back?
I think we get a more important Hogan Flair match. Than...
Yeah. Vince would have done it. Vince would have done it better.
Yeah, we probably get the Hogan Flair everybody wanted.
Does WCW make it long enough to see Monday Nitro? Because you're talking now, we're talking 92, 93.
Yeah, right. It's possible. I mean, they got star power over there. I mean, they wouldn't have had Flair, but possible. I mean, oh man.
I'll do you one better.
Oh.
Instead of what if Flair never left WWF, I got one better. What if instead of Flair going to WWF, it was Sting?
Ugh. Oh my God.
Can I go ahead and say it? We wouldn't be having this conversation about who the greatest of all time is.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
No, well, I am a massive Sting fan. I've never made an apology over that. If I ever have the opportunity to meet the man, I'm probably going to pass out or cry or both simultaneously. And I'm fine with that. But if Steve Borden goes in, you know, in the early to mid 90s, if he jumps ship, because he had several opportunities to, if he does, I don't think we're talking about anybody else as the greatest of all time. I think we're talking about Sting.
I mean, you could argue that maybe if he had, oh man, even if he had gone later, you could make that argument.
If he would have gone when WCW went under, I still think we could make that argument. I personally think that Sting, you know, Sting was Edge before Edge was Edge.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
He understood ring psychology. The only difference between Edge and Sting is Sting did not like to call matches. Sting had great ideas, and Sting could make those ideas work, but he was never considered a genius in the ring, whereas Edge was.
Right. And he probably should have been.
He's everything I've always heard and read was Sting was such a good dude. He was just like, cool, we'll do that. Cool.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's cool. Right.
Yeah. I mean, he was just everything. I've always heard that Sting was just easy river. Just go with
And
the
that,
flow.
and unfortunately, Sting going with the flow probably led to the cluster F that we saw at WrestleMania with him and Triple H. Sure, yeah, I'll go along with that. That's great. Let's do that. And then for no reason, the NWO comes to save him.
Sting was in the NWO.
I know, but then he was in the Wolfpack, and he had. When you think, I don't know. When I think about that Sting then,
I
he's
hate it.
against the NWO. I know he was in the NWO for an amount of time, but there was a long time where Sting was the guy that was WCW against the NWO, and that's what I think of.
It's like John Cena joining the Nexus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and also at the same time, you don't acknowledge Sting as being an NWO member, kind of like how we don't acknowledge Paul Roma was a Four Horseman.
Kind of like that. Kind of like that. It's a good one. It's good stuff. Yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it's whatever. That's probably a whole lot of Sting being what you said, the nice guy that's just, yeah, sure, let's do that. And sure, Hunter, I'll lose to you. And
still pisses me off that Sting was 0-2 in his WWE career. Really makes me mad because I'm like, oh, come on, you couldn't have given him one. Then
he
again,
knew Hunter wasn't giving it to him.
Oh, God, no. Then again, if he would have beaten Rollins for the title, I might have cried. That might have been like.
There's no might. You would have cried.
Oh, yeah, I totally would have. I have always been a massive Sting mark, and I apologize for nothing as far as that.
How big did you pop when they pulled up the sheet to unveil the statue and it was Sting?
Oh, I laughed like a maniac, but my bigger pop was at Brian's house for Survivor Series when he debuted.
Yeah, right.
Everybody was just like, oh my God. And I stood up, pointed at the TV and went, ladies and gentlemen, God. And everybody's laughing at me because I am what Brian does for The Rock, I'm doing for Sting. I'm just like, I am a giddy little schoolgirl at this point because I'm like that's my dude, and it's WWE, and he's kicking crap out of Triple H, and this is awesome. I'll tell you what I popped for the hardest though. What was it? I think it was Fastlane, leading up to the match at Mania, and Triple H is outside the ring, and Stephanie hands him a sledgehammer. And he starts to slowly go through ropes. And as soon as he stands up, baseball bat right there.
Yep.
Baseball bat out of nowhere, just right there, just starts backing him up. I marked out for that hard.
That was mark worthy. That was fantastic.
I lost my crap because I'm just like, it was fantastic. My man, it is late. And I'm tired, and I refuse to let this show go off the rails like last week's did because you and I are both like,
Yeah, no doubt.
I've been up since 5 a.m. and I literally, the only time I have sat down today was when we started recording the show at about 9:30 p.m. and now 11:30 with potty breaks and baby monitor. And I'd like to point out that the baby monitor hadn't gone off since that first break, so which leads me to believe that the little hurricane upstairs is asleep. God.
Daddy's the winner.
Yeah, Dad, a winner is you. Pro wrestling. Me and King Slender go way back, man. Slender hit that backbreaker over and over again. Just God bless it. It was so wonderful having a controller with rapid fire. You just hold down the A button or the B button or whatever it was, and just lock up, backbreaker, lock up, backbreaker, lock up, backbreaker. And once you hit that backbreaker enough, you start holding down while that auto fire B's going. Pile driver, Pile driver, and I'm done. No, I didn't cheat against the computer. Never. I'm a villain. What do you expect? Of course I'm gonna cheat. You know,
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Hey, my two favorite quotes from wrestlers or wrestling personalities involving cheating. I lie, I cheat, I steal.
Right.
And the greatest of them all, from possibly one of the greatest villain managers ever, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat and never get caught. Bobby Heenan at his best. Then again, you could also go with, as far as like good villain manager comments, just a line. You don't have to sell your soul to the devil. The devil sold his soul to me, Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. I saw somebody today that parodied a Paul Heyman line and said the only reason that Paul Heyman's running Raw and not SmackDown is because Brock Lesnar doesn't want to work Fridays.
That is probably true. And actually, yeah. Because that was him telling JBL the only reason you were WWE champion for however long is because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Yep.
I remember that because that was at a one night stand.
Yep.
Yeah. That was good. Good show tonight, bro. I really, really enjoyed this what if conversation. Next week, we're gonna have to make sure we pass on the memo to Brian. Did I lose you?
You're sideways.
I'm sideways. What the bloody hell?
Go.
There we go. For some reason, my phone decided to shut off and the screen went blank. I'm like, well, crap. Hey, the episode. Forget 1995. Technical difficulties.
Yeah. 1995.
Yeah, well, yeah, 1995. Yeah. But next week's bar discussion, best entrance themes.
I'm really pumped for this one.
I am too, because I've already got like 5 or 6 in a list on my head.
I'm good, man. I'm all over it.
We're gonna have fun with that one. And so help me God, if the first thing Brian says is The Rock's, I'm gonna.
The first thing Brian says is The Rock. Chalk it up right now.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, you playing softball with us this weekend?
I'm not. I work on something.
Okay, I had to ask. Yeah, Brian's got me out playing softball with them this weekend. Yeah, last time I played softball, I was probably about 35 pounds lighter. This is not going to be fun.
Have a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, but yeah, I've gotten chubby since the last time I played football. Depression is a bitch. But you know what? You eat a lot of Doritos and Oreos.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of barbecue. Comfort food.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and get out of here because I'm tired. And so is he. So for the disembodied voice of Brian Kriego, who is not here tonight, thank you guys so much for watching Wrestling with Egos. I'm Patrick. You can hit me up on Twitter at RantModeOn. That's RJ, who can be hit up at RJ Eman with 2 N's. WrestlingWithEgos at gmail.com is the email address. You can check out the archival site, bit.ly/withegos. Please do not forget, like, subscribe, share, all this wonderful craziness, because we will keep it coming, because we are a lean, mean, wrestle talking machine, especially when Brian's not here, because we can be we can be dumber and not have to worry about Brian going, oh, good Lord. So for RJ, for everybody else involved with the show, this has been Wrestling with Egos, and until next week, that is our story, and we're sticking to it.
Watch Fyter Fest.
Definitely watch Fyter Fest, damn it. If you don't, you suck.